I don't write nothing down, so I'll keep this short and sweet. You're weak, you're out of control, and you become an embarrassment to yourself and everybody else.
Well, 'tis UFC Vegas 107. I mean, to start it off, I have to say, just an absolute disaster. Yeah, definitely thumbs down, and the sound effect too. But yeah, that was a total disaster. I mean, some of the stuff is out of the UFC's control, obviously, but this can also turn to another conversation of like how oversaturated we are with the fights, and maybe how like underwhelming some of these cards can be from time to time. But yeah, just an overall disaster for UFC Vegas 107. I mean, the main event gets canceled literally right before the walkout. And then, the co-main event, which obviously was technically bumped to the main event at this point, Gamrot and Klein. Not necessarily the most exciting matchup that we would have wanted for UFC main event, if something were to happen to the girls in the main event. But yeah, just a letdown, I don't know. It's pretty tough to talk about it, but before we actually get into the whole main event story, what were your thoughts kind of on just what happened here?
Um, Dude, this is something I know I've never seen before. You've never seen before. Like, pretty much everyone's never seen before. And on a broadcast, watching it live, you kind of just see the commentary team, right? And then they play the whole video package, hyping up the fight, and then you think everything's going without a hitch, and then they're like, "Oh, well, something's going on with Macy, not coming out right now. So we'll just hit a quick commercial break and come back." And then that's when it all started escalating. Like that's when the three of them were legit like, dude, what do we do right now? How do we even address this to the national audience? Because this is free on ESPN, not just another ESPN plus card. This is anybody can just flip through the channels, watch it, you know, whether you're a fan of Aaron Blanchfield or Macy Barber in some way, or it's just, maybe there's nothing else going on your Saturday night, let's put on some of the UFC fight, and then
Yeah, I'd rather
you
watch
get
that
hit
than
with
the
it.
Knicks.
Yeah. Well, the Knicks had just lost before this. So, I mean, it was a bad night for you,
Very,
especially.
very bad night. Very bad night.
And then you hear Brendan Fitzgerald breaking it down. DC's bewildered. He's looking at Laura Sanko. He's like, "Get in there, Laura." And then DC's react, because obviously DC's the fighter. Obviously, DC's is a Hall of Famer, and when it comes, like, he's not trying to break this down from a medical standpoint or anything. Like, he's just trying to see a main event fight, and then. So DC's first reaction is like, "Oh man, I can't imagine." DC's putting himself in the mind if it was him who trained all this time this hard for a fight on the main event of a card. He's putting himself, if it was him, and he's like, "Oh man, I can't imagine how heartbroken Aaron Blanchfield must feel. Let's cut to her right now." That alone is hilarious.
Yeah.
Then they actually cut to Aaron Blanchfield, and she has the biggest smile on her face.
Dude, this event was just such what. It felt like a fever dream.
Yeah.
It's like what is going on?
Exactly.
And then honestly, let's fully hop into it. Let's hop into this main event, or lack thereof. For those who somehow don't know, Aaron Blanchfield and Macy Barber, obviously, as we're talking about, we're about to fight. We had the whole promo package walkout. The walkout kind of started, but then they obviously they told us that something's wrong with Macy Barber, and the fight didn't end up going through. But to just kind of this just crazy, because we obviously just went through what happened on the actual broadcast in the moment, but then afterwards they had Aaron Blanchfield do media, which that was bizarre in itself. I'm really shocked that they did
was,
that.
yeah.
And then, she mentions that she was told by Hunter Campbell that Macy Barber had a seizure. Obviously hope Macy Barber's okay. But what was said afterwards was just so crazy. Because Blanchfield basically called out Macy Barber. She said, like, her life was a complete mess. She needs to fix herself, get it all in order. And, like we're laughing, like, yes, none of this is towards Macy Barber. Like, obviously, I hope she's all right. But it's just the way that Blanchfield, like, she's like, yeah, they told me she had a seizure. What a mess. How unprofessional. It's so messed. Like, we were texting about it for the next, 2 days. Just, different scenarios of, where... Imagining this in other situations. Like, I remember I was saying to you, imagine if when Jason Tatum tore his Achilles versus the Knicks, if Jalen Brunson, after the game, instead of wishing him well, was just like, this guy's a complete mess. I mean, what a disaster. So unprofessional. Guy gets diagnosed with, brain cancer, man. And then there's he drinks, though. What a loser. Oh, Jesus. But, yeah. So, that's what I'm saying. It just almost didn't feel real. In a sense, because Aaron Blanchfield living up to her nickname as well.
UFC really didn't need any help in looking like an amateur league to the casual fan. Now, especially now that the casual fan is just easily able to access watching this card, and this happens, and then Aaron Blanchfield says that after what Macy Barber went through.
And everyone.
Man, just a terrible look. Really bad.
Yeah, and it sucks because it's not Macy Barber's fault. You could argue her missing weight and not coming seemingly fully prepared, is a bad thing. But obviously, she can't control having a seizure before the fight, and it sucks for Blanchfield, who was ready to go. And then even from the UFC's perspective, what else could they have really done? Moments before the fight, it's kind of tough to blame them. It's more so just maybe hoping that you stack up the card a little better.
It's unfortunate,
Yeah.
Obviously, me and you getting to see Aaron Blanchfield in the main event, repping New Jersey, of course, is always a great time. And
repping the 607.
And I'm sure it would have been just a really chess match kind of fight in the smaller Apex cage.
I was excited for it. It's an interesting matchup because Blanchfield, on paper, her grappling is so good that I would expect her to be able to out-grapple Macy Barber. But Macy Barber has true, genuine power at 125. And Blanchfield, she is hittable. And that's kind of... I would have been intrigued to see if Barber could have landed that shot or if Blanchfield would have gotten her to the ground and submitted her. Because I think that this is one of those fights that would have ended in a crazy way, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it's just unfortunate for everybody. I said,
it makes me want to, I want to say that Aaron can fight up anyways, but also I think this is a fight that would have tested her more in that aspect of how much she would be able to wear punches and kicks over 5 rounds and mix her grappling into it.
Yeah, it's definitely just unfortunate. That's the only word that I can really come up with. Like I said, this whole event was really just a letdown, with what happened with these two, and then the co-main event that really wasn't that strong. Just kind of felt like a showcase for Mateusz Gamrot.
Oh yeah.
So we can get into that a little bit too, but I guess before that though. Talking about, you mentioned the future for Aaron Blanchfield. It is crazy because she did say a couple of weeks ago, too, that she had this feeling that maybe, Macy Barber might not make it to the fight. And then, obviously, she ends up being correct about that. And she was just on Ariel Helwani's show, literally an hour before we're recording this. And she talked about kind of how her and her coaches see Macy Barber as an unreliable opponent. And... she still stands by some of that stuff, too, that she said after the fight that was pretty controversial to some people. you know, and like I said, darkly kind of funny to us because me and you are sick in the mind. Yeah, you know, obviously Erin went scorched earth on Macy Barber, but she also said that her emotions were running high after and obviously that's right after she found out that the fight wasn't happening too, so you can only imagine what that energy was like. And but she still stands by it, says that she's acted very unprofessional, you know, especially missing weight and then still kind of being very cocky during the face-offs is just an odd thing to kind of do. And then obviously with this happening, it's just very unreliable. And she says that she really has no interest in fighting her again anytime soon until she kind of gets her stuff sorted out, which she hopes she does. But yeah, there's nothing left to say. I mean, about the fight that didn't really happen, unless you have something.
Nah, man. It was one of those things you kind of needed to be watching live for.
Yeah, it was a spectacle.
It was,
just not in a good way. Not in a good way. Yeah, man, that could have been on a sitcom. I'm still
just laughing about Daniel Cormier because like I get it, like he's got the perspective. Yeah, he's got this perspective of a fighter, you know, and he doesn't really know much else. So it's like for this to happen, something that no one's really ever seen. He's just thinking like, oh man, poor Erin. She must be so heartbroken. Can we see her right now? Can you show everybody? She's
But dude,
literally exactly.
UFC Vegas 107 literally felt like a sitcom from everything that happened, like with how they announced that the main event was canceled at that last second, and then, you know, like everything that happened after the fight.
You know what even added to that and was actually a cool, good thing? Probably the best thing about this? The ref cam.
Yeah. They did add that. That had some nice moments, honestly.
Yeah, the ref cam, it featured a freaking finish, a guillotine finish, and it was like, oh my god, like this makes the sport look so much more brutal and violent, but
it's just so, like, because I feel so bad, like, because we keep joking about the main event, but like, because it's not a funny situation. Obviously, it's a pretty shitty one for everybody, but like, like you said, it's just the way that the broadcast handled it was so odd. Like, it just felt like a comedy. I mean, you know, the way that the camera cut to Erin Blanchfield, the way DC was looking at Laura Sanko.
Imagine a laugh track.
Yeah, but then what Erin said afterwards, just kind of going scorched earth. And then also, like, even the reactions on the internet that I saw, like, Dan Ige should have came in and fought her on short notice. Or where was Volk? Like, it's like Down Under starts playing. And then you just see Volk walk out of the locker room. Oh, it's Volk versus Blanchfield. It's like, I feel like a WWE match. Oh my god. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it just, everybody was so in disbelief that nobody knew quite how to react. And, you know, it seems like now the dust has settled, everybody's just kind of like feeling meh about it all because, you know, what else can you feel?
I'm still just in awe and total shock, to be honest. It's like
total shock.
Damn, dude. Like, yeah, the pay-per-view can't get here Saturday can't get here any sooner.
Yeah, man. It really can't. I mean, to get into that, unless you want to talk a little more about Gamrot, but we could. I mean,
no,
but
I knew the guy needed a fight, and I get wanting to match him up with someone who can defend takedowns, like Ludovic Klein, but it's still number 7 against an unranked opponent, and I mean,
and
Gamrot,
it went as it should.
Yes, like, exactly. There's just levels, and Gamrot, honestly, just he whooped them, to be honest. I think the redeeming thing about Ludovic Klein is, like, for him to survive the ground and get to the finish, but you know, that consolation. Like, you can ask fighters themselves, and when they hear, like, oh, he's tough, when they hear, like, they don't take that as a compliment.
Yeah, that's not a good thing when the announcers start talking about, like, oh, man, you know, he's really not doing well here, but what a tough guy. Yeah. He's so strong mentally. The fact that he hasn't broken and gotten finished, you're like, that's the worst. I always love it. Like, especially during, like, the pay-per-views and stuff, too. Oh, my God, do you remember when we used to go by Sean's? This is going to be a bit of a side side conversation, but when we used to go by Sean's and we would like watch old fights on the TV in his apartment, and we would watch. Were you there when we watched Brock Lesnar versus Shane Carwin? And if you don't remember that fight, for anybody who's watching, you guys got to go watch it. It's a great one. So Brock Lesnar is just getting destroyed by Shane Carwin. Like, I think 99 out of 100 times this fight would have been stopped because of how bad like Brock Lesnar was getting beat up on the ground by Shane Carwin. But because Shane Carwin was trying so hard to finish the fight, he ended up getting tired, and then I think it was in the second round, Brock Lesnar came back and then finished Shane Carwin. But during the first round, when Shane was just raining down shots on Brock Lesnar for the better part of 3.5 minutes, it was just Mike Goldberg expecting the fight to get stopped, and so he had to keep saying, Shane Carwin landing so many shots on Brock Lesnar, and then like 30 seconds later, he's still raining shots. Shane Carwin pouring it on, like in his head, he's like, "Stop the fight."
It's like a video game. You just see video game commentary. It's like
it was, dude.
When
was
you know
so
what
funny.
he's thinking, it's
the repetition.
Exactly, yeah.
It's like when you play MLB The Show and they just keep repeating like the same story every 3 innings.
Yeah.
All right, dude. One of the MLB The Show games a couple of years ago, I had a Yankees franchise, and obviously because of that, I play at Yankee Stadium a lot, and this Chris Singleton would tell the exact same story about getting a tie in New York City. I don't even remember it because of how it's so boring. But
I know what you're talking about, actually.
Yeah, I mean, you might have told it in the Mets one too. I don't know if it was. I don't really remember if it was just a Yankee story, but yeah, yeah, that was a interesting tangent that we just went on. But this whole pod has been what feels like an interesting tangent because of just all the crazy stuff that happened or didn't happen, I guess, in the cage. But yeah, you mentioned earlier we do have a pay-per-view next weekend, which is, thank God, honestly. We have UFC 316 here in New Jersey at the Prudential Center, and I mean, dude, I love this main card. Merab versus Sugar Sean 2. Pena versus Harrison. Gastelum versus Pfeiffer. Glad that's getting rebooked. Mario Bautista welcoming Patchy Mix into the UFC, and then a fight that I expect to be all violence: Vicente Luque versus Kevin Holland. Like, man, this is gonna be fun.
Yeah, a lot of these fighters were in New Jersey for last year's card, whether they fought or not, and now a lot of them are fighting on this card. Like Kayla Harrison, Juliana Pena, Kevin Holland had a fight last year on the newer card.
He did.
Yes,
he did.
A lot of, yeah. I think it's a rather underrated card, honestly.
I think it's because of the main event, and I kind of get it because I don't know about you. I'm not necessarily like super amped for Merab versus Sugar Sean too. I mean, I think it'll be a fun matchup because I do think Sean showed some stuff on the feet in their first fight, but ultimately just could not stop the pace of Merab. I'm curious to see how he'll do in like a rematch, with more time to prepare again.
I hope we don't get another Sean Strickland Paulo Costa scorecard.
Yeah, I hope we don't get another fight like that. That was not a very great fight, but yeah, I don't know. To get back to your original point, like I think that it being kind of underrated, I think it's because of that main event. I feel like a lot of people don't think Sean deserves a rematch versus Merab, which is fair. But when you look at the rest of the card, I mean, I'm really excited for Juliana Pena versus Kayla Harrison. A lot of beef coming into that one, too. Gastelum versus Pfeiffer. I mean, I was excited when that was supposed to happen. And I'm glad that they rebooked that one because I really think that's a fun matchup. And, dude, like, Patchy Mix, I'm genuinely curious to see how he does in his UFC debut. And they matched him up against Mario Bautista. And two really good grapplers. Should be a fun matchup. And like I said, Luque versus Holland, that's all violence. So, but yeah, man. And you texted me yesterday, literally a year ago now since our UFC 302 vlog. And our magnum opus here on the channel. If you guys haven't seen that, I'll try and add a card so you guys can click on that and watch it. right now if you want.
Yeah.
But it's definitely worth it. It was a fun time. We captured a lot of interesting stuff. We were talking before the show and the other day.
The whole week.
Yeah, about the guy who we captured a fight in the middle of the card pretty much, and like I was kind of trying to film the cage, but then we saw this dude arguing with the guy kind of like a couple of seats down from him. And it was I think it was a Poirier fan versus an Islam fan. And yeah, we caught a beautiful moment where this guy screamed something so patriotic. I don't want to spoil it. I feel like they should watch the video to see what he said. Mm-hmm. And right when he screamed this patriotic thing that gets everyone fired up, something happened in the cage and the whole arena just erupted, and like the way that was shot, I mean, not to pat myself on the back, but
it was pretty amazing.
That was just a magical moment, but really fun time. You know, that was a fun vlog. We spent the whole weekend there in Newark, New Jersey, beautiful Newark, New Jersey. Had some fun, you know, met Mark Coleman, Ariel Helwani. A lot of cool stuff happened.
I mean, to have the UFC take over, it really did like feel like it just elevated Newark like a
it
lot
really
better
did. There aren't too many redeeming qualities about that place. I wish they would have these cards in like Atlantic City. I'd rather go there.
Yeah, so if you're trying to see a real time experience of pay-per-view press conference, weigh-ins, even Ariel's
RWJ Barnabas.
Yeah, exactly. They're going back. Ariel's live show featuring a bunch of legendary fighters, and then the card itself, everything leading up to it. It's our vlog. It's our vlog, our magnum opus, like Rob said.
You guys definitely got to check it out. A lot of fun stuff. Basically, like a fan's point of view of what a UFC pay-per-view is like.
People were asking
the great
for,
state of New Jersey.
still to this day, Dustin Poirier's last fight. He's not officially retired yet, obviously, but still, you know, if that was it, then we were there for it. We have his walkout also that a lot of people were asking for.
It's still special until UFC 318 when his real final fight happens, Hey, I'm glad he's getting a final fight.
Yeah, true. That's right.
I mean, honestly, his final title shot was, that was pretty phenomenal. That was a great fight versus Islam Makhachev.
Who's he booked now against?
Holloway.
Okay, right. Now I got it.
That would be fun.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, shout out to Dustin Poirier. He made that event very, very fun. Because if you remember, I mean, the first 8 fights of UFC 302, there were no finishes.
Yeah.
And then Jailton Almeida bailed us out. Kevin Holland, and then that main event made up for everything because that was such a great fight between Islam and Poirier. But we got some great fights next weekend too here in Dirty Jers.
Yeah.
And we'll be back next week to talk all about it. So until then, see y'all.
Feel just like a superstar. Doing all these drugs, I don't think I'm gonna see tomorrow. Living fast, brand new dash up in a foreign car. It's the type of shit that you